when you're recording. We're good?
All right, you're good.
All right, good evening, everyone. For the duration of the coronavirus health emergency, Village Hall is closed to the public. Meetings are held with participants at remote locations connected to conferencing software provided by Zoom.us. Members of the public are invited to view meetings live using the Zoom client, which also allows them to raise a hand and contribute with voice and video when they're invited to do so during public portions of the meeting. If you will be providing testimony this evening, you must have access to a video cam so that we can see you raise your hand. If you do not have access and you plan on testifying, please try to do so before you're called. We will call applicants, experts, and members of the public as needed, and you'll be muted until such time. When I do call for those, we will have Dylan unmute and let you into the room. All right, so we'll call the meeting to order and begin by reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of
of the United
States of
States of America,
the Republic,
for
which it stands,
one nation,
one nation, under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
The following is required to be read by the Open Public Meeting Act. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by posting on the bulletin board at the Village Hall, by mail to the Ridgewood News, the Record, and by submission to all persons entitled to same as provided by law of a schedule including date and time of this meeting. Please note that a curfew of 11 p.m. is strictly adhered to by the zoning board. No new matter involving an applicant will be started after 10:30 p.m. 10 p.m. we will make a determination and advise applicants as to whether they will be heard. An applicant cannot be heard because of the lateness of the hour. The matter will be carried over to a future meeting to be determined by the board at 10 p.m. Roll call, please.
Sergio Allegra,
Here.
Greg Brown,
Here.
Gary Negritz,
here.
Diana Rule,
Here,
John Pepetro,
here,
Isaac Lebo,
Here.
Matthew Bandout,
Here.
Dan Perlman,
Here.
Michael Pickholtz.
Here.
Okay, thank you. Next, we need to approve the minutes of March 30th, 2021. Can someone please make a motion?
This is Matt. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second?
I'll second.
All right, that was Matt and Greg.
Greg wasn't at the meeting. Were you here last?
I can't second it.
Right.
Which one?
The 30th.
Correct, I was not there.
Okay.
Right,
I'll second the motion. Dan.
Dan.
Okay.
Thank you, Dan.
Gary Negritz,
Yes.
Diana Rule,
yes, here, yes, sorry.
John Pepetro,
yes,
Matthew Bandout,
Yes.
Dan Perlman,
Yes.
Michael Pickholtz,
Yes.
and Chairman Allegra.
Yes. All right, so now we move on to non-agenda items. Are there any board members who would like to make a comment on a matter not on the agenda this evening? There being none. Okay, if you are a member of the public and you would like to make a comment on a matter not on the agenda, now is the time. Please raise your hand. Dylan will let you in.
I'm showing none.
All right, be none. All right, so moving on, we're going to move on to new business. Oh, actually, there's an announcement. So anyone here for the Adam Brown matter, 386 Berkshire Road, that is being carried to April 27th, 2021, without further notice, 7:30 p.m. via Zoom. Okay. So now we'll move on to new business. This is the matter of John and Danielle Konzelman. It's an application to permit the construction of a 1.5-story addition and a 1-story addition and patio, which would result in a side yard setback of 15 feet, where 16.15 feet is required, a side yard setback to the covered steps of 11 feet, where 16.15 feet is required, gross building area within 140 feet of the front lot line of 30.9%, where 29% is permitted, and coverage by improvements within 140 feet of the front lot line of 45.4%, where 40% is permitted at 126 Sunset Avenue, block 2102, lot 5 in the R110 zone. This is being carried from March 23rd, 2021 without further notice. So can we let them in? We got Rocco and the council.
And Rocco just has to put on his video and unmute.
Bruce, quick question. So
Yes.
we know now that the variances, for within 140 feet of the front lot line are not needed. I still announce it the way it was noticed, correct?
You always announce what was in the notice, then we put on the record what's no longer needed.
Okay, I thought that. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, no, you're
All
right.
All right. Good evening, Mr. Orlando.
Good evening, board. Good evening, Chairman. I'd like to first introduce myself. Most of the board members know me. I'd
I'm
like
gonna have
to-
you raise your right hand.
Sure,
You swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you. Mr. Orlando has been previously qualified as an expert witness in the field of architecture. Mr. Orlando, nothing's changed as far as your licensing requirements since the last time you were so qualified, correct?
That's correct.
Good. We can dispense then with the voir dire on credentials, and you can testify as an expert witness in that field.
Thank you.
So please proceed.
So I'd like to first start off so Jane circulated to the board a updated zoning chart than what's on your current drawing that was submitted on revised drawing that was dated March the 31st. And in preparing for the application, reviewing my notes this weekend, I noticed that because it's an R110 zone, the setback, where typically it's 140-foot setback when you start calculating both lot coverage, gross building area, and coverage by improvements, in addition to the entire lot. This zone allows to 175-foot setback. So when we work those calculations, it eliminated two of the variances that we were seeking prior. So that those two were the coverage by improvement as well as the gross building area. So today we are looking for relief for two variances. One would be the side yard setback. So in your packet, you'll see it. I'll kind of go through a little bit what we're seeking here. The first setback is to the existing house, to the new addition. It's 15-foot setback, where 15 foot is a minimum required in this zone, but because it's an R110 zone, you have to take 2/3 of building height, and it's either 15 foot or whatever greater. So you have to get the ridge height. Ridge height in this location is 24.1 feet, which requires a setback of 16.15. So even though 15 is required in the zone because of the height and the grade, we have to seek a variance for that. In addition, on the side yard, we have a stoop. It's a small entrance off the side of the house. It's literally it's a 6x4 stoop that you come out the side entrance to get to their wood pile and also to enter to the backyard. Because it's in the side yard, in speaking with the zoning official, that's an 11-foot setback. So I've noted on the zoning chart two setbacks. One is 15 and one is 11. 11 being the most, obviously the most stringent. But again, that's just a stoop, but the main house is really 15 feet. The next variance is triggered as a combined side yard setback. Now, currently the setback as the combined is 33% of the lot width being 100 feet, where the 33 feet is required. We have 33.6. Even with the 15-foot setback on the one side, we're still in compliance at 34.7. What triggers the other side yard setback, and again, this is one item that Paula and I were talking about, and she missed it, I missed it initially when she did the review and said that the stoop was a required setback requirement. That triggered also a side yard, combined side yard for that stoop only, and that's 30.7 feet where 33 is required. I just want to walk you through, if I may, the property, just give you an understanding of the property if you haven't seen it already. In your packet, what you received was a site plan, both existing and proposed alteration. And on there is also topo for the entire lot. That's important to note because of the grade change on the site. From the front of the property to the back is almost a 10-foot drop. And because we are an average grade around the property and we determine the building height, that dictates the side yard setback. Thus the reason for the 15-foot, though it's required, it's a minimum in the zone because of the slope of the site and the difference from the front yard to the back and around the property where that's measured, we need a variance for that. So we have a topo, we have a grade change there. In the existing lot, currently, the width is 100 feet, where 110 is the minimum required. We're deficient in the width. Current front yard setback is 60.2 feet, or 40 foot is the minimum. So we are set quite back from the road, which is nice. The combined, like I mentioned before, is 33.6 feet, where 33 is the minimum. The ridge elevation of the house is a 1.5 story structure. It's 24.1 foot from the average grade. Characteristics of the house: its existing exterior is painted wood shakes. The finishes proposed of the new addition are keeping in the character of the house. Currently, the front facade, there are three. Currently, on the front facade, there are 3 gabled dormers. We're proposing a 4th dormer and modifying the existing to add to the character of the house. We're also trying to add some additional floor area up on the 2nd floor. Currently, the house has a dormer off the back of the home, and we're adding dormers only on the front of the home. On the back, we're taking the existing porch. There's an existing enclosed porch. We're increasing it in size, keeping part of it as an open porch and the other as part of now the living space. What I'd like to do is, if I may, pull up the drawings. So Dylan, if I could be able to share my screen.
You're good.
Okay, thank you. Okay, can everybody see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, just to give you an idea, this is the property that we're talking about. Currently, there's 3 dormers off the front. Left side is a similar house as far as gables, small dormer on the front. You can see here that they have a side entrance. We also have, let me see if I can zoom in here. Let's see. Oh, sorry. Back out. And the side entrance, currently we have the side of the house, we have an existing entrance, and that's what we're still trying to maintain. But because we're doing the addition on the side, which is really expanding at about 4.4 feet, 4 foot 4 inches, 4.33, we're expanding to the side, creating the setback. If you can see in the elevation, size of the neighboring house, quite higher. We're literally adding a small, carrying the roof line over on the front and adding a dormer on the front of the house here. And then we're adding to the back. So I'm going to flip to the elevations. Let's see. First, walk through the plan a little bit with us. Let's see. Okay, an existing, if everybody can see this, on the existing house, we have a kitchen here that we're looking to expand to the right. We're looking to keep this line of the den and just carry the porch, which is now going to be an expansion of that room in the back. And then part of it, the same limits of where the porch is now, we're going to have it as an open porch. 2nd floor, we're making some dormers on the front to make it more usable on the front of the house, adding some character to the front, and making a usable room off the one side of the property, the house on the 2nd floor. First floor addition, we're expanding the kitchen, creating a nice island so they can have a functional kitchen. It works well for their family. Again, the side entrance, which currently we have, we're recreating. And the existing family room, which is here, we're keeping that line in the back. We don't have a problem with the setback in the rear. It's really just the front portion here that we have the setback issue to the new addition. And on the back, part of that existing porch becomes an open porch. So the enclosed screened-in porch now becomes part of it open, and the rest is part of the living space. On the second floor, creating a bedroom in the area, we're creating 4 dormers on the front, expanding in the front here. It's for a master bath, making it a little larger, and then adding a bathroom as a combined bath for the floor. On the front elevation, you can see the line that represents the addition on the front, and these are the dormers on the front of the house. Again, the dormers are all in compliance. We don't have any variance issues here. The only thing we have a variance issue is the side yard setback here and the combined, which goes to the stoop as well as the house, or really just the stoop. This is a side view of the porch in the back. And this would be the room in the back. So we're keeping part of it as an open structure. This becomes part of living space, having a dormer off the front. Again, this is the side stoop. We're trying to minimize any impacts. So we're eliminating columns, doing some nice decorative brackets, support brackets, and having the stoop off the side. This becomes a dormer on the second floor. And on the side view, this is what we see. This is really the area on the second floor that's of the 15-foot setback. Again, there's a step back here, so this is in compliance, and this is the covered entrance we're talking about. You can see that the grade change is the existing side. So this is the front of the house, this is the back, and there's quite a pitch difference in the back of the house. Let's see if I can pull up some better pictures of the house if you bear with me 1 second. Dylan, let's see. How do I share this again? Let's see. Can you see the
Might
screen?
have to unshare and reshare.
Okay. Can we see the screen now?
Yep.
Okay. This is a better picture of the front of the house. This is where we're doing the addition and where the proposed entrance is. So we're pretty much moving this out about 4 feet. We're adding dormers on the front. Current side, you can see that there's a dormer off the back of the house. We're not touching that. We're just adding to the front, and the grade slopes to the back. This is the existing side entrance. Again, we're creating that entrance again. This elevation is in compliance. We're maintaining that with the additional porch. This on the top, we're just moving out 1.7 feet from this to make that expand the first floor, and then expand a little bit up on the second floor for the dormer. This is the back of the house. You can see how the grade steps down. You can see the larger elevation in the back of the house. We were concerned, so obviously we have a grade difference. There is a variance that's created because we have such a slope and the average grade around the property. And what we're trying to do is also concentrate the dormers and any addition to the least steep part of the house, which is in the front. So in the front yard, we have the grade at a point where it's not dropping off and the elevation is the least anywhere on the property. So the dormers and what we're looking at is concentrated to the front of the house to minimize any impact to neighbors and try to also tie in with the character and what we have in this area. This is one of the modest houses on this block. And we're not looking to, we're looking to make livable space and also keeping with the character of the home. Let's see. I think I've covered all of what we're looking for. So again, to recap, it's the side yard setback on the right-hand side to the addition. We're looking at the setback to the stoop, and then a combined setback to the stoop for the two side yards. Based on C1 criteria and the hardship, I think the topo on the site does create a hardship for us. It's throwing us into a variance application. The average grade around that, if we kept it at the same as the front of the house, would not seek that variance. The combined would, but the addition itself would not. We are also not trying to go closer than the 15 feet. We know 15 feet is a required distance in this zone. We're trying to maintain that, and unfortunately, because we are because of the height and the grade difference in the average grade, this is creating this variance that we need. So I think by the modifications we're doing and the modest changes to this home to add some living space for the Conzelmans and their family, that we feel that we're not impacting or substantially have a detriment to what the purpose of the zoning ordinance is in town, and the character of the neighborhood, and keeping within the character of what's existing in this neighborhood. That's all I have, Chairman. Danielle, do you want to say anything? I don't know if you want to mention anything.
Why don't we stay with you first,
Okay.
Mr. Orlando, and then if there's any questions, we can go from there. I have a couple just to get the record clear.
Sure.
Number one, the plan that you're referring to is a revised plan. So the final date on that is March the 31st, 2021, correct?
That is correct.
And just place on the record or confirm with me the gross building area within 140 feet, coverage by improvements within 140 feet, those variances are no longer being sought.
That's correct.
And the setback on the side yard to the addition itself is 15 feet. And to the stoop is the smaller amount of 11 feet, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So the variance is now being sought is the side yard setback to the right of the building and a combined side yard setback.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, and I have a question, maybe it's Bruce or Jane, but I believe if the steps protrude into the setback, either in the front or the rear, that there's a kind of I think it's 60 inches, right? Like a little.
Yeah, it's 60 inches on the front, and I think it's 42 inches on the back.
And there's nothing on the side, correct?
No.
That's correct. That's yeah, that's the
All
reason.
right, I just wanted to make sure. Okay. Yep. All right, so let's open it up to board members for questions. Anyone?
I got a couple of housekeeping questions on the chart. Just really housekeeping. He's got 29%, 5,000 square feet for the gross building area, and 175 foot setback, which is the R110. But the code says 5,000, not 5,075, and I'm just curious, is that a typo, or did somebody change the code and not publish the change? That's a question.
I'll look. I think the number is different from what you're saying, but let me check. I have it in front of me. Hold on. Yeah, looking at it, you are correct, Greg. I think it's 29% at 4620 is the allowable at that number.
All right, and then
You're correct. You're correct. And then what happens is, actually, I apologize. Yeah, that's what it is.
And the 24 goes to 5,000, actually.
That's correct.
Just 10 years from now, somebody will wonder why it didn't agree.
So the chart has to be revised.
You're correct. Those two numbers are correct, like you said. That's right. It's 5,000 for 19,250 to 20,999, and then it's 29%. So yes, those two numbers, as far as the max square footage on those, the percentages are correct, but square footage, you're correct. They're different.
Now, I have a different question for, back to your drawing.
Sure.
You're talking about the grade change, but the low corner appears to be driven by the fact that when somebody built a house, they put the garage in that, as you face the house, the lower left corner
Correct.
in the basement. So they dug that dirt out. That wasn't nature. Because if you look at the rest of the contours, the changes aren't particularly great, other than that somebody wanted to put a garage in the basement. It's not that the topography of the property was an issue. It was the builder made it an issue.
Well, if you look on the right-hand side, so if you're looking at the house on the right-hand side where nothing was changed as far as grade, it does go from the top right corner at 104 in the very top corner, all the way down to 94.7 in the right corner where no grade was changed. So there is, I do see what you're saying. They had to probably modify that grade, but there is a natural grade change from the very far right corner of the property in the front all the way to the back right corner of approximately 10 feet.
Well,
But agreed, they probably modify that grade to obviously get the garage in.
yeah, well, they cut 8 feet out of the ground.
Yeah, but there, like I said, there is a natural based on the right-hand side of that property. It does go down based on the topo that's here. There is a right corner to back right corner is approximately 10 feet.
In any case. So the whole thing centers, the last question is, why do you have to have, if you've got an added room in the back now with a deck that you access the rear yard and the garage or whatever else is back there, why do you need another door on the side that's driving that
Yeah,
porch?
they currently have on the side, they have a wood burning fireplace and the wood is on the side. They also use that for the children that use the back of the house. They also utilize that entrance a lot. So it is a used entrance. So it is functional for them. It's not just something that we could eliminate. It's more of a functional need for their family, for not only for, the dealing with the fire, but also it's really the function of the family and how they're living. So we did talk about that, but it is something that's functional. That's why we.
Anything else, Gary?
No, I just, again, I understand somebody decided they liked the side door, but, it's generating or driving a variance that my personal opinion is not necessary. So,
Thank you. Any other board members with questions?
Air
Yes,
conditioning,
Chairman.
air conditioning units are conforming?
Did someone speak
No.
up before me?
Hang on, John. Bruce, was that you?
Mr. Orlando, the air conditioning units
Yeah.
are conforming?
Yes, they are. They need to be 10-foot minimum and they are.
Okay.
All right, thanks. John, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My concern is the same as Mr. Negri's, a little bit there on the side. The change to the depth calculation, 140 to 175, has been fortuitous here and leaving just a small side setback issue. But I'm questioning, Mr. Orlando, if you see a different way to configure that now rather large, something over 400 square foot kitchen area. Could you reconfigure that, and instead of the side steps going out to the side yard line, have them going out facing to the back? And do you really need 19 feet of kitchen? And do you see a way you can reconfigure this and not have that setback request, but still provide functional, useful interior kitchen use for your applicant?
We did look at that. We looked at different, even trying to work with the existing and trying to have it functional. We wanted to get an island that was, you could sit around and functioning around the cabinetry and also the path of travel going through from the kitchen to both the dining room and family room. So we did look at it, and we also, we tried to minimize whatever we would as far as that setback. Again, going back to the 15 foot, and we really tried to minimally impact anything. So right now, what we're talking about here is a setback relief of really 1.15 feet, because the required is 16.5, and we're showing 15 feet to the addition. So we're really talking about an encroachment of 1.15. Again, it's for a portion of 26 feet on the side. So it's a one-story. We do have a dormer on the second floor, and we're really trying to minimize it. We're carrying the roof lines to try to minimize any impact. And honestly, we feel that what we're asking for is a minor relief. As far as the side yard to the stoop is literally 4 foot by 6 foot. It's a concrete stoop. Unfortunately, because it's above grade, 2 risers, it's considered a setback as lot coverage. And we're just putting a roof structure over it, and really just an awning that's going to be bracketed. We're trying to minimize really that. It's really, again, it's a stoop that we're talking about on the side. And the functionality of that kitchen and how the family operates and how that kitchen functions and how the children come in and out of the house. The positioning of that was worked on many different schemes. And this scheme, although we do need to get a variance for, we feel was the least impactful. And unfortunately, we need to get a variance for what we're looking for.
Well, I appreciate the explanation, Mr. Orlando, but can you water that down to a yes or no? There was no other way to do this that would eliminate that variance, and in particular, have those steps go to the back of the yard rather than the side. And do you really need a 9 by 4 foot island to
So
give
the
you?
answer would be no. There would be no other way, since we did look at it. So what we did look at it, and we feel that what we're doing here is the least we could do to make that functional. And the island, the length is really not as big of an issue as the width. Really, it's an island, and it's not oversized, but we do need seating around it. So yes, we did look at it, and we feel that there is, that we couldn't reduce it any more than we have.
Well, thank you, Mr. Orlando. I appreciate that, but I'm obliged to say that I don't think that that much expansion there and encroaching on the side setback is necessary. There are alternatives that would eliminate that, and this is not a small house to begin with. And the additions you're adding are quite substantial, 5 to 6 bedrooms and some 400 square feet for a kitchen area. All very nice, and I'm glad they fit below the gross building numbers, but I don't see it as necessary to qualify for a side setback variance as you've presented it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any other board members with questions?
I have 2, I think. So the first question, I just want to make sure. So the lot is undersized by 10 feet, correct?
Yes.
In width. So if you had a conforming lot width, you wouldn't be seeking these variances. Is that correct?
That's correct. And also, if the grade was level around the property, which it's not, I wouldn't be here for a side yard setback.
Yeah. So the next question was, in the upper right-hand corner, you're at 104 feet, correct?
Yes.
And then where the stoop is coming out, you're at 101.8, 101.9, somewhere in that range.
Yes.
So if it was flat at that point, you wouldn't need the 2 steps, correct?
Correct.
Okay, I have no further questions. I'm in favor of the application.
Thank you, Matthew. Any other board members with questions?
Well, I guess I'm curious what we're doing with the double door going out on the back porch, if we have to go out the side door. I'm just looking at the drawing you gave us, and the expanded kitchen space into what was an enclosed porch seems to have a double door going out onto that mini porch. So again, I really, you got a 6-foot space to walk through to a 4-foot wide staircase. I really don't understand why you need that thing on the side. The rest of it is fine. I understand the 4-foot that drives the expansion of the dining area and makes the extra bedroom work upstairs, and the extra bathroom upstairs. I understand all that, but I really don't understand that side porch when I got a 6-foot hole to go through right through the kitchen, which leads me right to the garage and the level part of the backyard.
When you say porch, you're talking about a stoop?
No, I'm talking about the access that you created on the side of the house, where you've got this room now that's 50 feet long that runs the length of one side of the house, that's got a pair of doors. Looks like one leaf is quasi inactive.
Well, one's inactive, one is active, yes.
Right. But it can be opened up to make a 6-foot hole.
Right.
And it just like, there's a lot of access and it all ends up in the backyard.
Well, there's no,
problem with anything else. That just stoop on the side just bothers me.
yeah.
All right, are there any other questions by board members before we open it up to the public?
Just one quick question. On that side yard where the stoop is, are you considering putting any additional vegetation to shade, to sort of create more of a barrier, because you got like a little open space there?
There actually is hedges along that whole property line.
Okay.
There's existing hedges currently along that property line.
Whose hedges are they?
They are, Danielle, I think that's your neighbors, or is that your neighbors?
It's a combination. We
Combination.
have some vegetation and they have some as well.
Shows up in the photographs.
Yeah, I thought that there was an opening though. It was like vegetation, opening, then vegetation.
That's beyond the house.
That's beyond.
That's farther forward. Like
Okay.
currently my kitchen sink looks out at those windows in the front, and I'm not even seeing the top of the hedges. Like my eye level is, if that makes sense.
Yep. All right. Thank you.
Any other board members with questions? All right, why don't we open up to the public? If you are a member of the public and you'd like to ask a question, now is the time. Please raise your hand. Dylan will let you in.
We only have one person are not raising their hand.
Okay. Mr. Lader, back to you. Any additional testimony? We can then, if not, we'll open it up for public comment, which I doubt there's any, but we'll.
No, I just reiterate again that the slope change on the property, and that if we didn't have the change, we wouldn't have the variance, and that the stoop, just reiterating that the stoop is 2 risers up. Could I change the grade? Possibly, but we're trying to keep the topo of the grade and consistent. So really the stoop is 4x6. It's a concrete slab that's raised. Unfortunately, it's over 12 inches and it's a roof over the top of it, no columns, and it's as far as impactful or really encroaching, don't feel it's impactful at all. So I think I've gone through all the different characteristics of the property and feel that what we're doing here as the 1.15 setback on the main addition and the stoop adding to it, but as a small stoop is not, is honestly based on what's on that property and what's near it and what's on that block and what we're looking to do and really enhancing the facade, that I feel that this could be done without any detriment to the light and air of anybody, and also improving the neighborhood.
All right. Are there any members of the public? There's one person. If you're here to make a comment on this application, raise your hand. Dylan will let you in.
No, he's not.
All right. Rock, before I close the hearing, one quick thing. I see the stoop, the way it's drawn out. My only concern is that sometimes people like to close those things in, make kind of like a mini mudroom. Would your client be amenable to, ensuring that that never gets closed in?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Unless the councilmen want to testify any further, we'll close the hearing and move on. We're good?
Yeah, just one note. Essentially
Just for the record is clear, let me just have you raise your right hand and be sworn in. You swear affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Just to address a couple more questions about the side entrance there, and the reason for it is, in essence, where you enter into is a mudroom, and that's the only mudroom in the house. So that's the purpose of the entrance there, and our kids use it all the time when they're covered in mud.
I'll also say that particularly since we started this project and then have lived through the last year altogether, the fact that I can bring the groceries, right? I brought all the groceries to the existing porch, wiped them all down to bring them to the kitchen and didn't have to bring them to the house. For me was like a huge safety issue. And just to be clear about the entrance that goes off the existing porch that becomes part of the den in our plans, there's about a 6-foot drop from there. And then from there to the driveway, there's an additional, I would say 8-ish stairs. So to bring like groceries, wood, anything into the house, that's really not a practical way to bring things into the house. And that's really why we really do use the side entrance a lot, especially for things like groceries or to carry wood, or, I'd be concerned about carrying wood up what's probably like 15 stairs really just to bring it into the house.
All right. Thank you very much. So we'll close the hearing now and we'll open it up for board member deliberation and or a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the application with, I guess, the requirement that the porch cannot be enclosed, and everything else as is. I guess it was based off of a C1 variance due to the slightly smaller width of the lot, plus the steepness of from the back, front to the back. I don't know if I missed anything there.
Topography governs the side yard setback calculation.
Oh, it does. Okay.
Can we add to that there has to remain greenery between the homes at a certain height? I don't know if anybody has an objection to that.
Don't see any.
This is Matt. I second the motion.
Okay. Greg Brown,
Yes.
Gary Negritz,
No,
Diana Rule,
Yes.
John Pepitro,
No.
Isaac Lebo,
Yes.
Matthew Bandel,
Yes.
Chairman Allegra.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. You are approved.
Thank you.
Good luck with your renovation.
Thank you.
All right. We'll move on now. Everyone's okay just moving on, powering through, no break, right? Let me know.
Sounds good to me.
For sure.
All right, good. We're going to move on to the Silver Falls Company LLC matter. It's an application to permit the construction of an open covered porch, which would result in a front yard setback of 34.8 feet on Cliff Street and 16.59 feet from Second Street, where 40 feet is required at 561 Cliff Street, block 1502, lot 9 in the R2 zone. And I think,
All right, so Tom DeVita has to come in.
Hold on 1 second. There's a little delay. Okay. Rocco went out. You need Rocco, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry about that. Promote. There we go. Got overzealous on my clicking. Sorry about that, Rocco.
So you like me. All right.
Good evening, everyone.
good evening.
So
For the purposes of the hearing, Rocco, let me have you raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Mr. Orlando has been previously qualified as expert witness in the field of architecture. In fact, tonight, so I don't think anything's changed to his license, so he can do it again, and he can render it a professional opinion in that field. Please proceed.
Thank you. I'm going to first introduce Maggie and Tom, and I'll let Tom kind of introduce each other in this application.
Okay, folks, if you would raise your right hand, you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give you the truth and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Thank you. Please give your full name and address.
My name is Thomas DeVita.
Margaret DeVita.
We live at 226 Solis Court in Ridgewood. And Maggie is the sole member of Silver Falls LLC. It's just a company that holds real property for us. We purchased the property a few years ago, but we have lived in Ridgewood for 18 years. And just because it's a company making the application, just to make you aware, just for the record, that I am an attorney. I'm not a land use attorney, but in consultation with Jane and Rocco, they thought that would be acceptable to proceed in this manner, at least to get the process started if necessary.
Yes, it is.
We won't hold it against you.
Thank you.
All right, Rocco, you're up.
Okay. I'll first go through the information on the drawings that you have in front of you. And then what we'll do is I'll just walk through the drawings after that. So the set that you should all have in front of you should be dated 3/30/2021. Update, it's revision 1. And I'll walk through the existing property, some of the characteristics of it, and then we'll go right into some of the drawings to walk you through what we're looking to do. So the property is 561 Cliff Street. It's located in the R2 zone. It's an existing 1.5-story dwelling. We are proposing 2 dormers off the front of the home with an enclosed porch. I apologize, an open porch, and the porch off the front and the dormers, because the property is a corner lot, we have a front yard setback requirement both on Second Street and also Cliff Street. So the existing lot is 9,437 square feet. The zone is 10,500, but because it's a corner lot, the requirement is 14,500. So we're undersized as far as the lot size itself. The way that the side yard works, required width is 75 feet in this zone, but because it's a corner lot, It shall be 105 feet at a minimum front yard setback line of 90 feet, and at any point within the 140-foot front yard setback line. The current width of the property is 62.5 feet, also narrow than what's required in this zone. Current depth is 151 feet, where 120 is required as a minimum, so it is a deep lot. The current front yard setback required is 40 feet on both the 2nd Street and Cliff Street. Currently, the setback is 39.8 foot on Cliff Street, where the house fronts, and is considered the main front of the house because of the size of the depth of the lot goes from Cliff Street all the way back. That's the deepest part. The other front yard setback is on 2nd Street, which is 16.59, which is existing. For the Cliff Street side, we're looking to add an open front porch on the front, which is triggering the variance. That setback would be 34.8 feet, where 40 foot is the minimum required. And on the 2nd Street, we're actually maintaining the line of the home that's there now, which is at 16.59. But the porch and the dormer above, so the porch itself is going to go to the limits of that building now. We're not encroaching any further than it is now. And then on the 2nd floor, we're stepping it back a foot just to give it a little roof line and character change on the front of the elevation. We're setting that back a foot, so it will be 17.59. But because the 1st floor is closer and on that front yard, that's the driving variance, which is 16.59. The building itself is approximately 23 foot 6 inches in height, where 30 is a maximum. We're not looking to increase that height. We're looking to maintain a ridge line. Currently on the back of the house is a dormer. It was a full shed dormer. On the front, there isn't a dormer, but there is a gable kind of giving some character to the front. It's an element added. It's not really functional inside the house. And what we're looking to do is put 2 functional dormers on the front to add some floor area to the 2nd floor. By doing that, unfortunately, it's triggering. The one dormer on the left is not a problem. It's the dormer on the right that's triggering the setback of the front yard on 2nd Street. But with the balance of the house and trying to get symmetry and the character of the house, that's why we were adding both dormers. And also it helps both bedrooms upstairs, which are tight in size. And again, we're not looking to raise the ridge. We're trying to maintain that ridge height and just work from that. The combined side yard on the main house is 33.6, where 33 foot is required. We're not changing that, so that's okay. Actually, I apologize. The combined, so that there's no real combined. There's 2 front yards and 1 side yard, so there's no real combined on the corner lot. Let's see, setbacks. Again, it's 1.5 story. We're maintaining the height of the existing structure. To note that we are under all allowable gross lot coverages, gross building area, and coverage by improvement with the modest renovations we're doing, even though the size of the lot is undersized both in the square footage. We worked hard to really we're trying to make a minimal impact on this house. We're trying to add some character, some usability to the house, especially the 2nd floor. And the front porch we're adding is to add character to the front, making a usable front porch. If you've been on Cliff Street, you'll notice all the different homes on that block. The majority have front porches. We're trying to create and keep with the streetscape that's there currently, and the character of the neighborhood. The gables, the dormers, all of that fits within the context and character of the neighborhood that we're trying to maintain. Again, we're not trying to oversize what we're doing here. We're just trying to maintain a modest modification to the house to add usable square footage and space on the property. What I'd like to do, Dylan, if I can share my screen, I'll walk through some of the drawings that the board has in their possession and just walk through some of the photographs that I took that were submitted just to give you an idea of what's in the neighborhood and the houses around it. So I can do it anytime, Dylan. Hello? Oh, Dylan's not. Oh, Dylan's muted. I'm sorry. Dylan, you're muted.
Sorry.
That's
What
okay.
was that?
I'm okay to share the screen?
Yeah,
right?
you're good.
Okay. Just got to find the file. 1 second.
While you're doing that, Jane,
Yes.
Jane, while they're doing that, just procedurally, you have a list of the Ho-Hokus residents that were served too, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, wrong one. Hold on 1 second. Okay, can everybody see the screen?
Yes.
Okay. What I'll do is I'll walk you through the drawings first, if I may. This is the existing first floor. Has a living room, bedroom, smaller bedroom, and a kitchen in the back, a bathroom that's used by the whole floor. Second floor has 2 bedrooms and a combined bathroom, set of stairs going up. Has some attic space, but really it's a very steep slope. If you can see, it's a gambrel roof, so it's really not that usable, but it's really just attic space in the front. What we're proposing to do, some changes on the first floor. We're looking just to open up some walls. We're not looking to add anything floor area wise. We're just trying to make it more functional. Add some more flow into the first floor. We're going to renovate the bathroom and do some things, but again, it's modest, maybe some window replacement. On the second floor, what we're adding is we're adding an extra bathroom. We're having 1 bedroom with a bathroom. We're adding the 2 dormers off the front. And we are, what on the back of the house now, I'll show you in the elevations, there's like an indent on either side that we're going to fill in. I'm not sure why they detailed this when they built the house, not really in character of the existing house. So we're filling that in and using that floor area. On the front facade, I'll flip to the existing photos. You can see the photo here. This is the gable detail I was talking to you about. It does have a covered stoop. We have a gambrel roof. You can see on the side with a full dormer off the back. It does slope and there's a garage underneath. Let's see. On the back of the house, you'll see the indents I was mentioning to you about. So the dormer has these areas that are indented. I'm not sure why they did that, but we're making that usable floor area and just neatening up the front out the rear elevation. Deck is staying as is. We're not changing that. So in the elevations, or what we're changing to is we're adding 2 dormers on the front. We're adding a front porch, again, trying to add some character to the front of the home. This is the side entrance. Existing dormer off the back. The shed dormer is remaining. We're not changing. Deck we're not touching. Dormers on the front and an open porch on the front as well. On the side elevation, same thing. This is from the other side. This is the left side. Again, you see some of the porch in the front and the dormer. Again, the shed dormer in the back is not changing. Adding a few windows on the back and just neatening it up. We're carrying the siding right now. There's a combination of shake on one side, clapboard on the other. It's stucco on the first floor. We're going to maintain and keep the clapboard on the house. Whatever we finalize and detailing, we're going to keep within a character of it, but it's wood now and it's painted. So that's going to be that's what we're looking to do. You step up onto the porch. It's a 2 riser up, and give you an idea of the neighborhood. So this is a view, if everybody can see that. This is a shot taken across the street. You can see there's an open porch. These homes are very close to the street. Right now, from the curb line, these houses are approximately 22 to 24 feet, varied down this length of neighborhood. But again, the front porch is a characteristic of the neighborhood. We have various houses that have open porches. This is a view to give you an understanding of kind of where we are. This is the home. This is an existing home on the corner, directly opposite corner of the property. This house setback off the property line from the front of the porch to the curb line is approximately 25 feet. And I did it with a laser level, so it was kind of rough. But the setback currently of our house is double that. And all we're looking to do is encroach, you know, this setback right here at the front entrance is 40. We're just coming out 5 feet. And if you look in the plan, what we're doing is just really a modest porch. I'm coming out 5 feet on one side just to get a nice entrance here. And then it's 8 feet on the other part just to put a couple chairs. And again, we're not coming out, you know, a large porch. We're just adding some character and usability to this area. And again, this would be the entrance, and then we're just adding a nice sitting area on the side. Again, maintaining this line, trying to not to encroach any more than it is now. So going back to the character of the neighborhood, again, this is a view down the block on Cliff Street looking up. So our property is here. This is the neighbor that's on the opposite corner. You can see they have a front porch, but you can see the size of this house compared to what we're doing. Again, the setback is tight here. It's tight down here. And the other parts of the neighborhood, again, front porches, gables, you know, again, it's just a streetscape, and Cliff Street's an older street in town. So it's what you find in the character of some of these older blocks. So again, we're trying to maintain, we're encroaching a bit. That's why we need the variance for the front yard on Cliff Street. The encroachment is, we feel, is a minimal impact and does stay truly within the character of the neighborhood. And again, on the side yard, which is where the driveway is, we're not changing any of this setback line. We're really just adding a porch here. And it's the side of the dormer that we're adding on the front that's triggering the side yard variance or the front yard variance on 2nd Street. I think I've kind of covered what we were looking to do and give you a good feel for the neighborhood and what's around us and what we're looking to do. Again, this is something that, as a reminder, that this is an undersized lot. The width is tight. We are trying to work with, again, what we have as far as the existing home, trying to add some livable space and floor area without really not impacting the neighborhood or really changing a lot. And the details we're trying to convey in the proposed renovation is staying within character of the neighborhood, to include the front porch and the dormers on the 2nd floor. And again, the seeking of these variances and the approval of this, we feel would not change or compromise the proposed zoning that's in this area, and that would be a good character and enhancement to the existing neighborhood. That's all I have.
Great. Thank you. Let's jump right in and open it up to board members for questions.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is John Pepetro speaking. I have a few questions, if I may.
Yes, please.
Mr. Orlando.
Yes, sir.
The board has paperwork indicating permits for the rear deck back there, but can you say whether that shed dormer was part of original construction or added at some point?
You mean when the deck was built, or?
No, the deck we have.
I would assume that possibly was an addition at some point, but I couldn't tell. I wouldn't know.
Okay, so it doesn't appear to be, or not. Okay, and the other item is, does this house have any basement other than the garage under the house? Is there any full basement or partial basement here?
Tom, you can answer that one, but I believe it does, right? The part of the house does have the basement.
It has an unfinished cellar-like basement with the heater and hot water and concrete floor. Not much room, just.
Is it the basement the size of the perimeter of the house or just smaller?
I think it's a little smaller, but I don't recall, to be honest with you.
Okay, thank you. I was just curious if there was any
Yeah.
with the base, with the garage underneath the house. So the changes, the zoning relief you're asking for, Mr. Orlando, focuses on the porch, but really the porch you're adding here is a complement to the overall aesthetic value. So you're changing the front facade and the second floor, and to continue that, you're going with this open porch. Not having an open porch would leave it architecturally a little bit awkward, would you say?
Agree 100%.
Okay, so that drives the reason for the porch. And I see where that front line of the house has an offset, and that gives you that little comfortable seating area there. So you're just squaring off that corner enough to make it useful.
That's correct.
Okay, the last item is the plantings and trees around the house. They seem to be about as aged as the home. Is there any intention to do landscaping to complement the external changes? Front, side, anywhere?
I leave that to Tom to answer that one.
Yes.
Everywhere.
Jonathan,
So then thank you. So then my next question is for our board attorney, do we need to see a site plan on that, or can it be open-ended and they'll do it as they like?
They can do what they need to do on it. Won't be a problem.
Very good.
Don't need a site plan on it. But John, you mentioned a garage in the basement?
Yeah.
Yeah. From the right-hand side.
Yeah, no modification to that, correct?
No.
No,
Okay.
and if I might add, I'm not sure it would fit a full-size car.
It doesn't.
It doesn't fit
Because
a
of the
car
slope.
really because of the slope, and it fit a small car at best.
Understood.
Okay. Well, then thank you, Mr. Orlando. That's all. This is a very nice renovation to a early home in Ridgewood, and I'm in favor of it as it's been presented. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. Any other board members with questions?
I got a question for Orlando.
I'm waiting.
Didn't
I was
want
waiting
you to
for it.
think I was
waiting.
forgetting you. I'm just curious if you'd be willing to take a foot off that porch, so it'd be 7 and 4.
I'd rather not. 8 foot is a modest sized porch. It's functional, and really it's the 8 foot is only for, not the whole porch. So taking off a foot only gives me a 4 foot in front of the steps, and it's tight. And I think the 5 foot is more of a functional, and I think what we've drawn is it really for functional. I think Greg, I hear what you're saying, but I think because of the size of it and the way it's configured, I think the 8 foot we really would like to keep. Thanks, Gary.
Well, you got guys in your pictures that have 4-foot porches, and you've got some with 8 or 9 foot, which that's the way the house was built 75, 80 years ago. But I'm just trying to reach a compromise here, because overall, I think you did a nice job, and you've got more usable space in a building, and you did it without exacerbating the fact that you got a 15-foot side yard. That's actually your front yard. But in any case, that would
Rocco,
be my own suggestion.
Yeah.
Rocco, would you object to a restriction that the porch can never be finished? Enclosed.
Has to be remain an open porch.
Yes, I'm sure the DeVitas would agree to that, right, Tom and Maggie?
Absolutely.
That is acceptable to us.
Thank you.
Any other board members with questions? There being none. If there's a member of the public out there who would like to ask a question, now is the time.
We have no attendees.
No attendees, so we'll assume no one has any comment on this application as well. All right. Back to you, Rocco. Any additional testimony or to summarize, or we can close the hearing and move on to a deliberation?
I think I've covered everything. Tom, Maggie, I don't know if you want to add anything, but I think I've covered everything that we wanted to go over.
No, nothing to add. Thank you, Rocco, and thank you everyone for your consideration.
All right, thank you. Hearing is now closed, and we will move to board deliberation and/or a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve this application as presented with the conditions mentioned by our other board member about the porch. And anything else our board attorney wants to add to the listing.
Okay,
Well,
do
the
we have
only
a
condition will
second?
be the open porch.
Yeah. That's a condition, okay. Do we have a second?
This
Second,
is Matt. Oh. Go ahead, Gary.
I think Gary beat you to it. All right, so Gary seconded it, and we'll take a roll call.
All right, Greg Brown,
Yes.
Gary Negritz,
yes.
Dinah Rule,
Yes.
John Pepitro,
Yes,
Isaac Lebo,
Yes.
Matthew Bandel,
Yes.
Chairman Allegra.
Yes. All right, you are approved.
Thank you very much.
All right, good luck with your renovations.
Thank
Appreciate
you
it.
very much.
All right. So we have one resolution. Is that right, Jan?
Yes.
Right.
Find it. Okay, so we have the D. Pascal residence, 566 Highland Ave. This is a resolution of denial. Chairman Allegra,
I forget how I voted on this one. Do I vote, did I vote to approve or deny?
you voted to deny.
All right, so then yes.
John Pepitro
yes,
and Michael Pickles.
Yes.
Okay, that's it.
And that's the one that came out 3-3, right?
That's
Yes.
correct.
Yeah, okay. All right, so 8:44, and we're done with 2 applications. World record. Unless anyone has any discussion items, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Good
Thanks,
night.
Dylan. Thanks, Jane, Bruce.
Well,
Thanks,
many.
Dylan. Thanks, Jane.
thank
Thanks.
you all.
Have a good evening.
Dylan.
Have a
Have a
good night.
evening.